Hey everyone, what's up? This is Uri for Guerrilla Poker, bringing you guys a high-stakes hand history review, played at 200-400, and this time I'm going to do a small twist and we're going to view the hand, we're going to do a solver analysis, and we're going to give a red line award to one of the players based on who we think might have played exploitatively well or done something that adds to the red line or is just generally good. So let's start with the hand. Barak Wise Broad raises to 2.5x from the button. Standard opening size 2.5x from the button is generally speaking the best size to go from that position. And Daniel 3-bets to 4,800, so 4.8x from the small blind. The players are roughly 125 big blinds deep. Very standard stuff so far. 3-bet size at 125 big blinds deep is probably somewhere between 4x and 5x, so 4.8x definitely fine. We get a 10-10 jack rainbow board. Generally speaking, we always want to think who's the board better for, and small blind 3-betting range is very, very depolarized, so very top end. I'll show you guys an example from the ranges I have saved. So somewhere around this, and this means that any board with broadways, generally speaking, is going to be very, very good for the small blind, whereas the boards with lower cards get progressively worse. And ace is also kind of an unclear card because all of your pocket pair advantage starts disappearing. So yeah, 10-10 jack rainbow generally. Very good board for the small blind, and Daniel goes with a basically range bet, small type of strategy, so he goes 2,800. Barak calls, and we get a 4 of spades turn, complete brick. So now after the flop where Daniel pushed his advantage on the brick, he has to split his range, where certainly hands like 7s, 8s, 9s, 6s are going to check, and you want to put in more bets with aces, kings, queens, ace, jack, 10x, etc., but take some of those hands to defend your checking range, and then you barrel your draws, and you give up your air, and all of these things, you know, ace, king, queen can go either way. So all of these things happening at the same time, it's kind of a complicated strategy, but a very common shape for a strategy. So this is Daniel's strategy on a turn. He elects to check, so now we should have in our head his range is mostly give-ups and medium stuff with some traps mixed in. So he checks and Barak checks back. Now Barak checking back, similar. He should be betting, you know, most of his trips and his boats, and if he slow played something like queens, he should be betting that most of the time. And he can protection bet some hands, but for the most part, a lot of his hands, the check back, are also going to be medium strength minus some traps and some draws. So actually similar shaped ranges after it goes check check. They both still have some traps in there. I think Daniel has to have more traps because he's defending his range over 2 streets, because Barak can bet the turn or the river or both, whereas Barak, by checking back, due to position, he instantly gets to the river, so he doesn't need as many traps. But yeah, that's kind of the shape of the ranges. We get the deuce of hearts river. Daniel goes for an overbet, so what part of his range is this bet size for? Kind of good question, I think, because if he has trips, I think he can just shove. So this is more aces, kings, queens, ace, jack. I have a feeling aces, kings, queens can just shove, so maybe this is like the ace, jack size if I had to guess. And the reason that I'm making these guesses is that, first of all, when we talk about the strategy for Barak is what to do on the river, you have to understand which range the other guy's betting. Because, for example, if we say this is the size that fits ace, jack, and king, jack, for example, and Barak has jack 9 suited, then the jack blocker is super duper valuable. But if we say that this is the size for aces, kings, and queens, and it's not the jack X size, and something like a jack blocker is not valuable, and maybe you rather have an ace, king, or queen blocker. So this is actually a very important part of playing the hand, understanding these things and doing it as accurately as you can. And yet, Daniel, with this size, of course, he's going to bluff some of his bluffs. He has a ton to choose from. Remember, he gets here with like ace 5 of hearts and hands like 6-7 of clubs. So definitely tons of bluffs to choose from. And Barak goes into the tank and raises all in for not a lot more, relatively speaking, to the pot size. So Daniel is getting very good pot odds, and Barak is saying, I have a trap, I have trips plus, right? Jack 10 suited, pocket fours, pocket deuces, ace 10, pocket jacks, whatever. Lots of traps to choose from. Combinatorically wise, very small value range, very good pot odds. He gets to bluff very, very infrequently. It's a good exercise to think which combos make sense to bluff with. We'll do that in a second. Actually, let's do that now. So which combos make sense to bluff with? Again, before looking at the solver, try to think, and then we'll look at the solver to compare. You want stuff that unblocks the bluffing range and blocks the bet call range, let's say. And like we said, if this is the Jack X range, do you want to have a Jack on clear? Because Jacks, maybe you want the other guy to have a Jack. And there are some paradoxical things on the river, because here, for example, I think you kind of want spades, because Daniel will not bluff with spades, and spades block trips. So maybe the type of hands you want are like King Queen of spades, Ace Queen of spades, 9-8 of spades, those type of hands. Feels like spades would make the best suit due to unblocking bluffs plus blocking value. I'm not sure if we want a jack or not. I'm not sure like which kicker is best, etc. So yeah, the result of the hand is Daniel folds and Barak shows King Queen of spades, which on the surface is a very good combo to do this with. I know the frequency, and we're gonna head into the solver streets and take a look. As always, these are not accurate ranges. If you guys use GTO Wizard or some other program, you might get different results, but all of the principles kind of carry through, so that's not super duper important. And generally speaking, as your stakes vary and your rake structures vary and the stack depth varies, ranges are going to change and be sensitive. So don't get married to the output of a specific sim and say, oh, this is the correct answer. It's very, very important to be able to generalize across situations in poker. Okay, on the flop we have 100% c-bet for small size, and Barak calls a lot, including with a lot of these low pocket pairs, but actually this board is so kind of high that some of the low pocket pairs get to fold flop. Turn we got the 4 of spades, I believe. I think I got the suits wrong. So this is going to be spades or clubs kind of situation. So 4 of clubs on a turn. And here, like we were saying, aggressive barreling. And here we have a pot size of 15,600, and we can see that actually 8s and 9s do barrel sometimes. So what I was saying about the checking range and the betting range, solvers are going to do this a bit more merged. I think this is very uncommon to see, but certainly the checking range is going to have, like we said, some ace highs, which are giving up suited connectors, not really 3-betting in this specific range that I have saved. These low pocket pairs, we're going to have some traps like 10s, jack 10, some of the 10x, but yeah, goes check, Barak checking back. Like we said, some traps, so jack 10 suited a bit, not very many traps. Like that, less reason to do it, but you get a few of them, and you can debate whether or not ace jack is a kind of trap, and 4 is definitely not checking. But yeah, we go check check. River was like the deuce of hearts or something. And here, kind of interesting spot, because I was talking about queens and kings, and we can see that those were actually pure barrel. And aces likes checking, which is very often the case on the river due to aces blocking your opponent's ace highs. So actually not that many hands that make sense for these sizings. Like I was saying, trips is kind of an all-in hand, and in terms of ace-jack, this is the hand strength I was expecting to use the overbet size, and you can see it actually does. Ace-jack, king-jack, and even queen-jack, and even jack-9. Jack-9 is using smaller size, but queen-jack, king-jack, ace-jack are using this overbet size exactly. So kind of what I expected, and like we said, very important. Bluffs can come from all over the place, but generally speaking, here it's clubs. So don't bluff as many clubs, but you do bluff some clubs. Not even that extreme there. So we get this overbet, and look at this 9.5% all in for Barak for 3.8 combos. And which combos are those? So like we said, the range is Jack X centered, so you can go with your Ace Jack, and you can go with your Jack 10, and maybe even a bit of King Jack. And then for bluffing, King Queen of clubs is the combo, right? You can also take King Queen off with a Queen of clubs, and you can take Ace Queen with the Queen of clubs. You can take King 9 of clubs. You can take Ace 8 of clubs. It's all clubs, generally speaking. And like we said, Ace Jack is kind of neither here nor there. It's a bit of a merge. And yeah, very, very sharply played by Barak to spot this combo. This is a combo that's supposed to raise 42% of the time. If I had to guess, most people don't even consider raising in a spot. And versus the raise, your opponent's supposed to fold 55% of his range. Of course, in Pio land, that comes from King Jack and Queen Jack and all your air folding, and Ace Jack never folds because your opponent is also shoving his own Ace Jack. Is that happening in practice? I'm not sure. Now, by the way, if shove and call, and we look at in positions equity with Ace Jack, it's 61%. So that is a value shove, guys, with Ace Jack in solver theory land. I don't know if it works out in practice. But yeah, very, very sharply played by Barak. Definitely winning the Red Line Award for this hand. Very clearly, very, very hats off. Amazing play. And yet, Daniel, we don't know what he had, what he folded, what he didn't fold. If we kind of want to think exploitatively, is our opponent going to defend enough or not? You guys can pick for your stakes. Are the guys with your stakes even going to size accurately enough? Are they going to be like, oh, you know, he has almost no bluffing allowance here, let's just call everything, it's not that much? Or are you facing a guy who says, wow, this is never a bluff, I'm going to fold all my Jack X without even thinking about it? So if you guys can exploitatively recognize who it is you're dealing with and pull the trigger against the right opponents, that's definitely a very, very good thing. Yeah, that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.